ladies and gentlemen, now hosting the RizzoCast, put your hands together for Steven Risotto!
What's going on, everybody, and welcome. My name is Steven Risotto. I used to cover the San Francisco Giants for SF Bay, and I'm currently a producer for 95.7 The Game. I'm also the host of RizzoCast, a podcast that features current and former big league players, coaches, fans, media, and others who are regarded as some of the brightest minds around the game of baseball. Today's guest is Ty Blach, a current big league left-handed pitcher who has pitched in parts of 7 seasons at the major league level. He was drafted and developed by the San Francisco Giants, where he made his debut in 2015 and went on to deliver several memorable moments, including outdueling 2016, He went on to deliver several memorable moments, including outdueling Clayton Kershaw, starting on opening day, pitching postseason innings, and then Ty Blach later spent 3 seasons with his hometown Colorado Rockies, continuing to carve out a role as a reliable, very versatile arm for the Rockies. And last year, 2025, or I guess this year, Blach spent time in the Texas Rangers organization and is now looking for a new home for the next chapter of his baseball journey. We talk about his career path, pitching in high altitude, learning from veterans like Buster Posey, Madison, Bumgarner, the balance between analytics and instinct, and what life looks like both on and off the field, including being a dad. This is episode 183 of RizzoCast, and let's get started. All right, and we are back with Ty Blach on RizzoCast. Ty is nice enough to take some time out of his very busy day enjoying the show. Ty, what's going on? Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And it is, we are in fall right now. We're approaching winter. And in the baseball season, that means the postseason just wrapped up. And first things first, this is the first episode that I've recorded since the Dodgers won their second straight World Series championship. That's a big accomplishment. They're the first team to go back-to-back since the 99 and 2000 Yankees did it, and they won 3 straight. Ty, did you get a chance to watch any of this drama unfold? Because it was a pretty crazy series.
I watched pretty much the entire World Series other than the 15th inning on and was a game 2. I couldn't make it that late. I had workouts first thing the next morning. So I was like, I can't stay up any longer for this one.
Yeah, but you were able to check to see what happened the next morning.
Yeah, my wife she stayed up through the 17th, and then our son, he just turned 1. He woke up at about 3 in the morning, so I immediately looked at my phone and was like, "Oh man, the Dodgers pulled it off. Freddie Freeman does it again." So
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it made kind of a lot of people thinking, a lot of teams, there's 28 other teams that are not in this thing. And I think it gets a lot of people thinking back to when their teams were in a spot like this. And I know I thought of, when I reached out to you, I thought of you appearing in 2 postseason games for the Giants in 2016 in the National League Division Series against the Cubs. And it's not the same adrenaline, Ty, of a World Series, but there is some adrenaline. What is that like, just getting a chance to pitch on national TV where the lights are the brightest, everybody's watching postseason baseball, there's a lot on the line? How is that adrenaline different from the regular season?
well, for me, it was I was a month into my big league career, and then I found myself walking off the mound after facing 4 Cubs in game 2 of the division series, and Bochy just taking me out of the game, and I'm looking up, I'm like, holy cow, I'm in Wrigley Field in October. What is going on right now? I think I was had the foresight to know, like, hey, this may not happen too many times in my career. With where the Giants were at the time, I was hoping they were going to continue to stay on that, every even year run and things like that. But unfortunately, it just kind of didn't pan out for us that way. And just having those opportunities to get a pitch in those games, that's what we all live for as athletes. Just trying to take your game to the highest level and see, hey, this is the biggest stage possible, and what can I do on the biggest stage? And For me, it was just a blessing to be able to have that opportunity and to be able to share some of those stories with people.
Yeah, and, of course, even someone as, like me from the outside looking in and watching this World Series, and I'm sure you as well, you mentioned you watched all of it except past the 15th inning in game three. So I'm sure you could appreciate the performance from Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who was just insanely good, and he won very deservingly so the World Series MVP. Through a complete game in game two. I think he volunteered to pitch if it had gone longer in game three, the 6 innings in game six, and then the next day, after like 96 pitches, came into the game. As a pitcher who has once started, you came out of the bullpen too, started games. Can you even imagine or put into words how difficult that must be coming in the next day after throwing like 90 some odd pitches in a game? Can you even imagine that?
What he did was really special. I mean, I still think what Madison Bumgarner did in 2014. You look at the comparison and number of innings and just how single handedly Bum won the Giants the World Series that year. But Yamamoto almost did the same thing for the Dodgers, and just his ability to come back after throwing that many pitches the next day. I could see him. I could see a guy doing it for one, maybe 2 innings, but he was going strong into his third inning, and I don't think there was any end in sight to when he was going to be done. And that just goes to show how hard he works and the position that he puts his body in to be able to bounce back and how efficiently he moves. Because your arm is just kind of a conduit to the rest of your body. And if you're moving efficiently, your arm can usually bounce back pretty well. And for him to have thrown that much over that last, month of playoffs and everything, to be able to bounce back to throw, whatever it was, 50 pitches after throwing 98 pitches the day before. That was really incredible and just kind of a testament to, the starting pitcher again, which I think it kind of really had its comeback this postseason.
No, absolutely. And just the amount of starting pitchers that appeared or warmed up in that game just is a testament to it being game seven and there is no tomorrow. And that was one thing that Yamamoto kind of took literally and Dave Roberts bringing in Blake Snell, Glasnow was in the game. There's a lot that happened there. One of the things I wanted to ask, kind of still postseason related, is that, you were drafted in 2012 and we'll get to that later, but that's the year the Giants won their second championship, as you know. And we see what happens with the big league team when they win a championship. But what is heard or said or felt when you're in the minor league system of a team that wins a championship? And you were there in 2014 too when the big club won it. Like, is there anything that happens to the players in the organization when the big league team wins? Is there like an increased desire to get up to the big leagues and be a part of something like that? Like, what goes on when the big team wins a championship and you're at the minor league level still developing?
I think the biggest thing that happens is the minor leaguers learn how to win, and the emphasis becomes on winning. When you're in a system, where the team is rebuilding and they're trying to just figure out, what they have from players and young guys are getting chances all the time. The emphasis in the minor leagues isn't always about winning. It's not about, like going out there and doing the little things the right way. And sometimes that gets lost when teams do then finally get a chance. Those guys don't know how to win because they've never had to do it before. And I think for me, coming up through the system with the Giants, we were bred to win from day one. It was how do you do whatever you can to help the team win today, or what's going to help you, have success on the mound to help us win at the big league level. And so every day in the minor leagues, it was how do we get back into what we're doing to help the team win today. And I think for me, that was a really big uh, milestone in my career, because my first full season in San Jose, we go to the championship. Unfortunately, we lose in the championship series. The next year, 2014, Double A, same thing, championship series, lose in the championship series again. But we were bred to win, and that team had a desire to win. And there were several guys that I came up with that have gone on to have great careers and be, part of winning organizations, things like that. And I think that's a testament to the way the Giants developed us at that time because we were taught to be the best teammates that we possibly could. And it's not always that way when you're with an organization that's rebuilding.
No, absolutely, for sure. And it's taught in the minor leagues. You heard it here first. And I do want to get into your career a little bit. Grew up in the Colorado area, well, in Colorado, I should say, in the Denver area. And how did you fall in love with baseball? When did it kind of become a passion for a young Ty Blach?
Well, I was 3 years old when the Rockies came to town,
Mm.
and that's a pretty impressionable age. Some of my earliest memories are going to, that opening inaugural season of Rockies baseball at Mile High Stadium, and Andres Galarraga was always my favorite player, and you had the Blake Street Bombers when I was 5 at Coors Field, and just getting to go to all those games, I fell in love with the game of baseball, and I played a lot of other sports growing up, but there was none that I had the same passion for as I do for the game of baseball. And just I've been so grateful to, you know, have those memories and those formative years, with an organization, that was coming up where the whole town was excited about it. And that's kind of what drew me to the game and just kind of has propelled me since.
So Galarraga was your guy. That was my next question. Is I was going to ask you like who were some of your guys growing up?
The big cat. Yeah. I got a good story for you on that. So it was, I think 1995 or 96. I can't remember. We went to spring training one year in Tucson, and, I'm a little, 5-year-old kid, and I've got my little book of autograph, cards that I want to get autographed by the players. And we happened to be staying at the same team hotel as the Rockies players. And the big cat was always my favorite player. He was awesome. And, uh, they always nicknamed me the little cat. And so I was going down to breakfast one day, and I had my binder of cards, like maybe I'll run into a player. And sure enough, there's Andres Galarraga sitting eating breakfast at the hotel in the lobby. And I walk up to him, I'm like, hey, can you please sign my cards? And he goes, sit down. Why don't you have breakfast with me? And so I got to have breakfast with Andres Galarraga, just, some random fan. And he just let me sit down and eat with him. And he signed my cards, and we talked. And that was a pretty special moment for a young kid to be able to do that, and for him to take time out of his day to share that with me. That was really special.
That's incredible. And that's an incredible. Do you remember what you ate for breakfast? Do you remember what he had for
Uh,
breakfast?
I don't. I remember it being a buffet, so probably I'm sure it was a standard breakfast buffet of eggs and sausage and bacon and pancakes and that type of thing. I'm sure there was a donut in there or something as a 5-year-old, but yeah, just that was a pretty cool moment for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's one of the best stories that we've ever had on here, Ty. So that's pretty eating breakfast with the childhood hero. That's awesome. And then you were drafted out of Creighton in the fifth round in 2012. And
Sure.
as you know, the college game has changed quite a bit. There's NIL involved. There's a ton of movement with athletes from school to school. Um, there's so much going on in the college game. How is your experience as an athlete in college, and what do you think of some of those changes that have taken place since?
Think it's difficult for programs to build an identity because there's so much movement. And at Creighton, we were kind of known as this team that played the game really, really hard. We sprint on and off the field. Everything we did had a purpose. It was all team based. That was really cool for me to have that identity. And guys miss out on that now. So I think it's hard because they're never able to really like establish this connection with their coaches. And yeah, so never being able to really establish that identity with your coaches and build like that 3 or 4 years and getting better with your team. I think that's the hardest thing that these colleges run into these days.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I had one shortstop on from Ole Miss, and he was a top draft prospect, and then he was coming from a different school, but then he was going to a different school, and it was like, there's so much going on all the time, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of young athletes that listen to this, and I've had people um, tell me that, and I believe that I read that you had a 4.2 GPA in high school, which is absolutely insane. Great grades in college too, honor roll, all that stuff. for some of the youngsters out there who, love baseball and want to play at the next level, love sports, want to play at the next level, how important is that balance of being a student athlete in that order, right? And getting the necessary work done in the classroom that you need to succeed and that you need possibly after you're done playing sports.
I think for me, the biggest priority was always the education. And my family instilled that in me. My mom was a school teacher for 35 years. And so for us, it was always school first. It was always that student athlete piece, student first, then athlete. And I couldn't play baseball if I didn't have good grades. So continuing to establish that and carry that over. I took a lot of pride in that through high school, through college, getting that degree. So that was really important. And I think it still is important. And kids need to understand that these days, that just because there is money involved, because these things are changing, doesn't mean that they should pursue the money. They should pursue the education first, because that's what's going to set you up for success down the road.
Yeah, and everybody's got like their all the college players, they have like the majors that are kind of half-ass majors and they just pick random
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
Communication majors you see a lot. What was your major?
I was a finance major, so I got drafted after my junior year, but thankfully, because of some of those high school credits that I had transfer in, I only had one semester left to finish. So actually, after my first season in San Jose, I went back and got my degree that fall. So I was able to finish in 2013, which was awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. And that's probably one of those things that, I've heard that teams maybe take care of that. Do they cover did the Giants cover that at all for you or did you how
Yeah,
did that go?
that's part of the draft compensation, which is awesome that they take care of that
Absolutely.
and prioritize that for kids.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And you mentioned you were drafted after your junior year in the fifth round. I saw a video on YouTube of you talking right after the draft. Just a young, like shocked kid. No, probably not shocked. But how did you find out about the pick and when did you know it was the Giants and what did you know about the Giants franchise at that time?
So I was in my college dorm. We had just got knocked out of regionals the day before at UCLA. So I was back with a couple of my roommates and I was like locked in my room, like, okay, like I'm not gonna come out. And the day just kept going. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, I'm not getting any calls, like I'm not gonna get picked. I don't know what's happening. So I go out and we're playing darts in the like main room of our apartment on campus. And uh then the phone starts ringing, like fifth round starts, phone starts ringing a bunch. And um I think the Braves had called and said, hey, we want to take you with, pick 175. And I was like, awesome, that sounds good. So I was getting ready to become an Atlanta Brave. And then next thing I know, I'm like pulling the computer screen up because we're watching on the computer. I'm like making it full screen, like we're all watching the computer. And it's the pick before the Braves. And it's like San Francisco Giants select Ty Blach. And I was like, wait, what? Like, that's me. I thought I was going to the Braves at pick, I guess, 177, and I got picked at 176 to the Giants, which is really cool.
So there is probably some reality that the scouting director for the Braves was pretty pissed off that they didn't get Ty Blach.
There's probably some chance there that somebody was kind of mad that their pick got ruined.
Giants with the sneak attack there. And then you debuted in 2015, September, against the Rockies, actually. So, I mean, I'm going to have to ask, was it like weird, just like, you're taking your warm up pitches, and then you look up and you see a guy in a Colorado jersey? Like, was that just insane, kind of like crazy, abnormal for you?
That was really cool. I'd pitched at Coors Field a couple times in high school, so I was like a comfort factor for me to be able to be there. I just felt like at home, and running out of the bullpen. I watched games there growing up, which is awesome. So sorry about that. I'm ruining this thing.
Editing tools, man, they come in handy.
so yeah, I come running out of the bullpen, and our seats like that we'd always sit at growing up were right above the bullpen. So like to be able to come running out of the bullpen after sitting there watching hundreds of games as a kid, that was such a blessing. So I loved every second of that. And then just facing all the guys that I grew up cheering for, I was like, whoa, this is kind of crazy. I'm facing Cargo now. And I was like always cheering for him to you know he had some crazy memories. I remember him hitting that walk off upper decker for his cycle, like, and of course I give up my first big league hit to him. So I'm like, well, I guess if there's a guy that I'm gonna give up a hit to, it's Cargo. So that was pretty cool, and it was a special memory for me, and it was great to be able to pitch well. So
Did you get any mementos? Because that's the number one thing us as media people ask a guy who gets his first hit or first strikeout. We always ask, what are you going to do with the baseball? What are you going to do? I don't know if you were given a lineup card. Did you get anything from that game at all?
yeah, I've got a lineup card hanging in the house. So I've got also got like all of those milestone baseballs. They always took care of us with those things, so that was awesome. I've got those kind of displayed, and always fun to be able to share those stories with people and relive some of those memories.
Yeah, absolutely. And that team was full of just like a lot of veteran starting pitchers. So you were kind of the young guy with the group of Mad Bum and Jeff Samardzija, Johnny Cueto, Matt Moore was there, I think. As a
Yeah.
young player coming up, what was it like just like soaking up that kind of information or just watching the examples of these guys that have been there and done that? Did any of those guys kind of stick out and show you the way on how to do things at the big league level?
Yeah, all those guys were awesome. I think about Jake Peavy,
Yeah.
what he did. He was there at the time. Matt Cain was also in the bullpen with me at that time. And then the next year in spring training, we kind of battled for the fifth spot. And I'll never forget, Matt Cain was just such an instrumental like influence in my career. We had so many like similarities in faith and personalities and things like that. And we were always kind of bred as minor leaguers to train to be the horse, be like Matt Cain, throw 200 innings every year. And that's who they always tried to model us after. So I always remember when I came into the clubhouse, he was just so welcoming. Whatever I needed, he was there to bounce things off of. And we go into spring training in 2017 after I'd kind of gone on that little run in 2016, and we're both competing for that fifth starting spot. And I remember the media was kind of like, I just kind of remember thinking like, oh no, like the media is kind of pitting us against each other. And the first day after we both kind of had some hard hitting questions, for early in camp about this, you know, pitching competition we were going to be in, Matt Cain came up to me. He said, "Hey, I'm not thinking anything about that. Whatever I can do to help you, I'm right here for you. If you beat me and you take my job, I don't care. Like I want the best for you. And I want us to, both just go out and give it everything we have. And there's going to be no hard feelings either way, no matter how this goes." And that was just a really cool thing for a young player to see a guy who had, what that would have been, year like 14 or 15 in the big leagues for him at the time. Like that was really cool to know that there's a guy like that that's going to help me to get to the level that I want to be at. We ended up pitching alongside each other in the rotation for a lot of that year, which was really cool.
No, it's super cool. Super cool for a veteran guy to go out of his way like that. And you mentioned one thing there about the media. Did you ever read anything that people wrote about you? Or were you like pretty decent at tuning that stuff out?
I wasn't good at tuning it out early on in my career. I was very much as a young player, it's hard because you want to have, you want people to see you and you want people to understand what's how hard you've been working to get there. And so you kind of have this like curiosity to see. And unfortunately, I like dove into it like head first, like always searching things, and then you get on the dark side of it and you have a bad outing, and it's just the death threats and everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
And I've just learned to kind of put it beside me now and just say, hey, you know what? Like I know I'm giving everything I have to be the best player I can be and best teammate that I can be, and I know that my stuff isn't necessarily like going to be the biggest swing and miss, like most dominant pitcher, but I know how to go out and compete. I'm going to give my team a chance to win, and that's all I can ask for every day, and know that I put myself in the best position to succeed. And if it doesn't happen, I'm okay with that now, and just kind of let the other noise go by.
Yeah, Twitter could kind of be an asshole. I mean, this might
Oh,
be a personal question, but did you get any like death threats? Is that something that
oh yeah.
Does that happen
Yeah.
to a lot of athletes that you know of? Because I know the betting stuff is going on right now, and it's a major story in this country about how some of these leagues can make sure that it's it's you know figured out, and players aren't facing these threats. But that was something that happened.
Oh yeah, it was really sad, like threatening my family, threatening, your wife, things like that. It's horrible what people say, but we all have faced it and it's pretty common, unfortunately. So just continuing to kind of make it people aware of that and just try to make it to see that, hey, we're human beings and things like that. It's not really acceptable. Um, just we're trying our best. It's just kind of how it goes. But we're gonna lose some games, we're gonna win some games, and hopefully things can get better on that front.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And at the end of the day, I think it's important for people to realize that, as much as you guys are getting paid to play at a high level, like it is a game, and it is like being a fan is supposed to be a hobby, and it's really not that serious. So, yeah, it's definitely a scary thing. Um, I don't even know where to go from there, Ty. I guess we could talk about some of the guys that helped you. You mentioned Kane. You also threw to Buster, right? And Buster's a guy
Yes.
who's going into the Hall of Fame. How cool was it to throw to him? Just a guy who was still very much in his prime by the time you got there. And now see he's running the Giants, which is probably insane for you to see, given that you played with them. But what was it like throwing to Buster as your battery mate?
Buster's just top notch, just human being, just everything that he stands for, faith, family. It's just it's I don't have any like words to describe Buster other than just he just cares and loves about people. And that's what's really cool. And he was very much that way with me. I remember that game against Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers October 1st. And Buster came up to me. I'd found out like late the night before that I was starting, and it was win or go home basically.
Yeah.
And I've pitched 3 games in my big league career, and I get called on to try to beat Kershaw and get us into the playoffs. And uh, I walk into the clubhouse that morning. I'm amped up. I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this thing. And Buster walks in. He goes, "It's a great day, guys. Ty Blach's gonna get his first big league win. We're gonna beat Clayton Kershaw. We're gonna get in the playoffs." Like, and for him to like just kind of project that, um, and just gave me a lot of confidence. I had never thrown to Buster in a game before, other than maybe in spring training once or twice. So it was the first time I got to throw to Buster. We were on the same page. It was just, just throwing to him. You just had the utmost confidence. Whatever pitch he was going to put down, you were going to throw because if you shook him off, that ball was probably getting whacked in the gap for a double. So just he just knew the game so well, just the ins and outs, and saw it at just a whole different level than normal person does. So he's just a great human being, a great guy to be around, and I'm happy that the Giants have found a way to use him in a different capacity now.
Absolutely. Maybe he'll be calling one day, Ty Block.
I would love that. I'd love that. Give me a job, Buster.
Hey, absolutely. And speaking of that game against Kershaw, because I was going to get to it. I mean is that the highlight of your career, that game? I mean, thus far in your career, is that the highlight?
I mean, that one with everything that was on the line with, kind of the stage we were in, that was pretty special to basically be a postseason type game, where we had to win. The crowd was into it every single pitch, the adrenaline, getting my first 2 big league hits. That was pretty special. I got to throw a complete game shutout the next year against the Phillies. So that was a really special moment. I started opening day in 2018.
Yep.
That was a really special moment. My first appearance as a Rocky, I got my first career save, a 4 inning save. So my career has been a lot of ups and downs, but I've done things that every baseball player could ever dream of doing. And I'm so blessed to have had the opportunities that I've had and to do the things that I have. if my career is over today, I'm just really grateful for all the opportunities, all the people who have poured into me over the course of my career. I still think there's more in the tank, and I've got a lot more left to offer. But I've got no regrets on how anything's played out, and just want to just continue to give it everything I've got.
Yeah, and I do want to get to kind of your future plans in just a second, but I mean, two hits off Clayton Kershaw. I mean, I mean that's probably the biggest flex of them all, too. Along with that well pitched game, and one of them, I believe, didn't you almost get thrown out at first?
Yeah, yeah, I hit it so hard to Puig in right field, and he had a cannon. I saw it immediately. I hit it, and I was like, I better sprint, or I'm gonna get thrown out at first. So that was kind of crazy, but yeah, that was my first big league hit, having to sprint through first base on a line drive to right field. You don't see
Yeah,
that very often.
no, you don't. And let's stay on the topic of hitting because I've told some people that I was having you on and they wanted me to ask about this. Your first big league home run, 2017. I think you went like 8 innings against the A's, and then crushed the home run to straightaway center. It seemed like you took a lot of pride in your hitting, right? Just being a good athlete on the mound, feeling your position well. How much pride did you take in the hitting side? And do you wish that was still part of the game?
I hit 545 my senior year in high school, so I was a little upset that I didn't get a chance to hit at Creighton. I understand Coach Service and his reasoning at the time, but he has since gone back and told me his biggest regret was not letting me hit there, and so that was pretty funny. But um, I always took a ton of pride in hitting. I loved hitting. I remember growing up, people were like, "Oh, what position you want to be?" And I said, "I want to be a hitter." Um, but then as my career got going, guys started throwing 95, and then you start seeing these 90-mile-an-hour sliders. I was like, I got no chance at hitting these things anymore. I think my last year I went like 1 for 36 or something like that at the plate. It was ugly. So I was kind of like, all right, I guess it's time if they're transitioning out of the hitting thing, so be it. But yeah, that home run, that was pretty cool. I remember being in the dugout that inning and the way the game was kind of going. They brought in the reliever, and I looked at Brandon Crawford. I said, if there was ever a time for me to hit a home run, this would be the one. And he goes, "You're not hitting a home run." So sure enough, I get up two hitters later, and I remember thinking, all right, first pitch, I'm going to take, kind of get his pitch count up. And I said, if he throws first pitch ball, I'm going to swing as hard as I possibly can with the 1-0 pitch. Sure enough, he threw first pitch ball and he threw the 1-0. I swung as hard as I possibly could, and I just happened to connect. And of course, I hit it to center field, and I didn't think it was. I was like, oh no, like, and I'd hit home runs in high school, so I knew what it felt like. And I was like, I just hit a homer, but I hit it to dead center in San Francisco. The ball doesn't fly there, so
At
I
night.
start sprinting out of the box, and I'm like, and I was almost like touching second when it landed in the net out there, and I was like, holy cow, what just happened? So that was a pretty cool moment. I remember all the guys just kind of being in shock, like, because I never hit homers in BP or anything like that. Bum would be hitting them on the concourse every day, and here I am, like, just hitting lazy line drives to right field, just trying to have productive at bats. And sure enough, I hit the homer, and everybody's just kind of like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was pretty fun.
And you sprinted everywhere. You sprinted off the mound, so it was like no shock to see you sprinting around the bases. And I think it was funny
Yeah.
because the call from Dwayne Kuiper was like, "And this is going to go over well for the starting pitchers that take batting practice." He said something like that. And I believe
Uh,
later in the year, didn't Jeff Samardzija hit a double? And you guys were joking. There's a camera shot that went to you and Bumgarner, and you were
uh,
flexing on Samardzija, and Bum was saying something to the effect of, you need more time in the weight room because this guy next to me hit one out and you didn't. So
yeah, that was really funny because Samardzija every day he'd try to have home run derby with Bumgarner. So those two guys are just hitting tanks of homers every day. And I'm just like, geez, how do they do this? And then so sure enough, we get out there and Samardzija hits that ball. I think it was the same week. Like it might have been like, I think maybe I hit mine on Thursday. It might have been like Saturday that Samardzija hits this one to dead center and he bat flips it. And he like starts jogging out of the box thinking he hit a homer. and it like short hops the wall, and he barely gets into second base. And I was standing out there with Mark Gardner, our bullpen coach, and and Gardy was the one who would throw us BP every day as pitchers. So they're like, "You got to get him, you got to get him." So I just hit one of these, and Samardzija, I remember, just put his head down. Yeah, that was pretty funny. That was about the one time I could ever, give Jeff Samardzija a hard time about anything. So I didn't let him hear that one down.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. That was a great moment. And I mean that was one of those moments where it's like thinking about it now, it's kind of you do miss the pitchers hitting just a little bit just for the moments like that, but who knows, maybe in the end it was the right move because a lot of pitchers couldn't hit. But you could say to Jeff Samardzija and Bum that maybe you were the fastest pitcher on that team because you beat Puig's throw from right field. So,
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you got Jeff Samardzija on that
oh,
team. I
wide
think he might
receiver.
be the, the
Yeah,
the best athlete on the field at any given point whenever he wanted to be. I saw him cover first on plays where he was not expecting to have to
that's
cover
true too.
first and get there, and you were like, where did he just come from? You know.
Yeah.
So
Almost forgot he's an ex wide receiver, so I eat my words on that one. Um, Kind of talking pitching real quick. I mean, you're a guy who throws in the low 90s, good command of everything, athlete on the mound, as I mentioned. I know the term like soft tossing lefty gets thrown out there quite a bit, but I kind of want you to set the record straight. How would you describe your own style on the mound? I know, despite what people say, how would you describe your own style? And is soft tossing lefty an insult?
it was funny when I got to the big leagues that year in 2016. I was considered like an above average, like left-handed arm. Like I was touching 93. Like everybody's like, yeah, he throws pretty hard for a lefty. And I'm like, sweet. And then the next year, like my rookie year, it's like, oh yeah, you just got an average fastball, low 90s. I'm like, okay, like I can deal with average. And then by the my second full season in 2018, I was considered a soft tosser. I'm like, what just happened? The game just exploded in velocity and all those things. And so I've never really considered myself a soft tosser, but I really am. Like I try to throw hard, but it doesn't happen. But I do pitch off my fastball a lot, which I guess a lot of soft tossers don't. Um, I utilize that sinker and try to kind of bully guys inside and not let them get leverage, and then use the changeup to kind of disrupt that timing and leverage. When they try to get on the sinker.
Absolutely. And do you feel like I guess I'll start with this. How much do you use some of the numbers that are given to you before the game? From the analytics people, how often do you use some of those analytics before a game or before a start?
We're using a lot of that, from a scouting report perspective. I'm pretty detailed into what the hitter's swing path is, kind of their approach, how my pitches are going to work against them, and just kind of know their weaknesses. That's how I try to attack guys, is kind of expose, areas where I think I can get them to make some weak contact or take some bad swings. Um, so that's what I'm using the most. A lot of guys are using, hey, this is their big swing and miss area. I don't generate a ton of swing and miss just because of the nature of the sinker. So I don't necessarily leverage that as well as a lot of other guys do, but we're using the analytics to understand swing frequency, to understand tendencies of what guys are wanting to do, how they're trying to attack um, pitchers, and we kind of use some of those tendencies to know, hey, he likes to swing when he's ahead. This guy's really patient, and you use that to your advantage, knowing like, hey, in this situation, I know that this guy is going to swing with bases loaded, one out. I know he's going to swing at this first pitch, so I'm going to throw one of my better pitches, like strike to ball type pitch, try to get him to chase something and hit into a double play somewhere, or get a bad swing and get count leverage in my favor.
Awesome. And a few more here before we wrap up. Ahead of the 2022 season, you signed the deal with the Rockies. Was that easy playing at home? Because I've talked to people where it's like they don't want to have to deal with leaving tickets for friends every night. and family every night, and there's the pressure of like being home and not being away. Was that something that you went through going to the Rockies and being in the big leagues with them, or did you just enjoy it and embrace it?
I mostly was able to just enjoy and embrace it. My family and friends understood like the pressure and everything that came with, being there and didn't really bug me too much. And for me to be able to share this journey with them, it was a really big blessing. Just if people wanted to come to a game and come see me, I was more than happy to take the time out of my day to go see them and um get him tickets or get him down on the field for batting practice because I know how much, those people have influenced my life too. And so that's been really fun to see is like knowing that, hey, there's so many people who helped me along my journey to get to be where I wanted to be, which is always, I always wanted to play for the Colorado Rockies and everybody knew that. And so for me to be able to live that dream and share that with so many of the people who were on the way with me, that's been really special.
Did you meet Big Cat eventually again?
No, he's the one Rocky that I have not gotten to meet. Um, I know he's had some health issues and hasn't been around a ton. So they had a big anniversary for the Blake Street Bombers and Vinny Castilla. He's there as a special assistant. Talk to him all the time. I got to share some great stories with Todd Helton and Larry Walker and guys, other guys that influenced me a lot growing up. But um, never got to talk to Big Cat. So I would very much enjoy the opportunity to do that sometime.
Well, he is here on this call. No, I'm just kidding.
that
That would have been pretty insane if I were to be able
would
to
have been
pull
that
that
would have been brilliant.
off. For a split second, your heart dropped for a second. Uh, did you have like I mean, Coors Field is one of those places, beautiful ballpark, like no doubt about it. But the altitude, a lot is said about the altitude. Did you have any strategies and like figuring out how to pitch effectively there? Like I just some backstory. I talked to Dan O'Dowd, who used to be the GM of the Rockies way
Yep.
back when. Um, and he said that that the Rockies have tried everything. They've tried finesse guys, they've tried power pitchers, guys who rely heavily on their sinkers, big four seam guys. And he also mentioned that it's harder to probably play away from Coors Field because you're going from altitude back to sea level in a lot of those NOS stadiums. Did you have like a strategy on figuring out how to pitch at Coors Field? Did you ever master it? Or I guess maybe not master it, but get by with it.
I think my advantage is that I train here in the off season, so I'm used to the ball, or the lack of movement or the different movement. So your sinker, you get more downward movement on the sinker, but you get less horizontal run. So what happens is, you play at Coors Field and you're used to kind of like this like sinker that goes like this, but then you go play in San Francisco, and now all of a sudden you're getting more carry and more run. So it's harder to keep the ball on the plate. Your ball gets elevated over the middle more often, because you're getting more carry. You throw more breaking balls out of the zone because they're snapping more, things like that. You almost have to be a different pitcher in both places. You have to have kind of an arsenal that works at Coors Field and an arsenal that works on the road, or know like, hey, like you really have to dial in like your starting points of where you're starting every pitch, and it takes you a couple days to calibrate. And no other pitcher throughout the league, other than the Rockies guys, have to deal with that because when you come in for a 2 or 3 day series or a 3 or 4 day series, it doesn't really affect you that much. But when you're seeing week to week, you're constantly having to change back and forth, and you're like, oh, I had a really good breaking ball my last outing, and you'll see a guy go on a really good run, with a great breaking ball, and they're like, oh, my breaking ball is really good right now. My breaking ball is really good. But when you're at Coors, your breaking ball is never going to be as good. So it's hard for you to sustain, those runs as a pitcher of like, oh, I'm feeling this pitch, for a 3 or 4 outing stretch. And you have to kind of just recalibrate every single time and just kind of work with what you've got. And I think it becomes a mental battle for so many guys of just never really knowing who they're going to be on the mound that day. And I think the only way you can really accept it is just to know, hey, this is what I've got, and this is what I'm going to work with, and you know, figuring out how to just kind of manage innings, knowing there's going to be traffic because you're going to give up hits because it's the biggest outfield in baseball, but the ball also flies. So you're just like, okay, how do I try to keep them off from leveraging balls and make them single me to death? And if I can, use that sinker, knowing I'm going to get more downward action. Hopefully, I get a ground ball at somebody, but if I get singled to death, so be it, and just not let them really leverage anything. And that's how I found success, but um, it's difficult for sure.
Have you seen the humidor? Or I guess, do you know where
I
it is? Like, is that it? Like, yeah,
honestly, I don't. I never came across it. I'm sure it's one of the one of those closets down in the tunnel there somewhere, but I never actually went in and looked at it.
yeah, that would be something that I would be interested in. Just like, trying to figure out where the humidor is and going inside and just
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
an aisle of just baseballs, hundreds of them. All right, final few things here before we wrap because I've kept you for way too long. You mentioned that you think there's a lot left in the tank. What is your current status right now in baseball? Are you currently a free agent? I know you were recently with the Rangers organization. What is next for you and how are you feeling?
Yeah, so I was with the Rangers in AAA last year. Had a little shoulder injury, kind of a fluke slip on a pickoff play, and just kind of how it goes sometimes. And I tried to pitch through it for a couple weeks and just didn't really go away. So I got shut down for the rest of the season, but no surgery or anything. Healthy, velo's back. Everything's really good. No issues at all. So I'm ready to go. Hopefully, get an opportunity again to just try to earn another shot and just be there for a team who needs somebody who's got experience and knows how to navigate a lot of different types of situations. Just kind of eat innings and be ready for whatever role they need me.
And who maybe was a former All-Star and maybe future Hall of Fame catcher?
Hey, that'd be an awesome reunion, and you never know. There's so many different people that you run into. Nick Hundley was the special assistant to the GM here in Texas when I was there, so he was my backup catcher. With the Giants, so he and I had a great relationship as well. Another top notch human being, just like Buster, just unbelievable faith, unbelievable love for people, and just top notch teammates. And so, you never know where the connections in this game might take you. And I'd love to get another chance. But like I said, if that time has come, then I'll be looking forward to whatever comes next and enjoying some time with my family.
Yeah, and I know you got a little one at home. How has life been like being a dad?
This summer was kind of a blessing. I got hurt, and the Rangers were like, "Hey, we know you're going to be done for the rest of the year, and we kind of trust you to get the rehab stuff done with some people that um, I know here in Colorado." So they sent me home, and I got home at the All-Star break, and I got to play dad all summer. I literally was home other than my 2 or 3 hours of PT every day. I was home all day, every day with my son and getting to watch him grow up and that first year of being a father, that was really special. And, one of those little blessings that sometimes you don't understand why you get hurt. And I just found myself being at home and just really grateful for, um, that opportunity to get to experience something different in life and to understand that we get so closed minded on baseball is everything. It's only baseball. It's only baseball. But for me to be able to see like, hey, life's a lot bigger than just baseball, and being able to spend that time as a dad was really special.
That is awesome. Well, Ty, best of luck to you moving forward. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and it was definitely a blast catching up to see what you're doing. And thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the time, and as always, appreciate everything the Giants organization's done for me and all the fans and the support. Just a really special place and great people.
For sure. And when I mentioned your name to a few people, they immediately said the Kershaw game, the home run. against the Cubs in the division series. So a lot of people, a lot of Giants fans, they just don't forget people, no matter how big or small their contribution was. And I think that's a cool thing about baseball fans in particular is that, they hold on to guys. So, you're definitely not forgotten in San Francisco, nor will you ever be. Appreciate the time, Ty. And everybody could go ahead and follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at RizzoCast. More coming soon, and we'll see you next time.